Great, good evening and welcome to the Quarry Valley Unified Union School District Board meeting on April 13th. If you'd all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business is the approval of the agenda. Motion by Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. General public comment. There's no public online and there's no public here with us. So we'll move on to old business. Al, MTSS and maps.
Pretty quick. Yeah. Some stuff here that didn't make it into the board package.
Okay.
Pass those around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what we're taking a look at here tonight is, it's pretty much an update on our map assessment data from the winter term. We're in the middle of our spring term now for assessments. It's just started. We're doing okay at this point. But what I've done with this data to try and keep the number of slides down is I've combined the Pulteney schools together in one set of charts. And I've combined the Proctor schools together in one set of charts. And of course, West Rutland is K-12, so they're one set of charts. Things to keep in mind when we're looking at this data, it's always a snapshot in time, like one point in time. This is the kind of data that we take about midterm and we show our staff. Usually we put a presentation together that our building administrators look at with their staff together. They go through the data, they have a look at it, they have a discussion around it. Hopefully they use it to make some adjustments and corrections mid-year. So that's what we're going to be showing. So yeah, we can go forward. The charts themselves bear a little bit of explanation. The first chart here that we're looking at is, I'll explain the reading charts and then we can look at the rest of them. This first chart is a comparison of kindergarten last year to the kindergarten this year. So it's different students, same grade level. What it represents, each of those color bands represents a proficiency band. So we're looking at percent, 20th percentile, 20 to 40th percentile, 40th to 60th percentile, 60th to 80th, and then 80th to 100. So that's the low to high breakdown. And those percentages in each band are the percent of students in each band, of all the students in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, so on. Are there any questions about how the data is arranged for this one?
So this first slide is all kindergartners.
If you look at
The
the
first
bottom,
two bars.
the first two bars are kindergarten, last year and this year, and then first grade, second grade.
Thank you.
third grade.
Thank you. Sorry, be so dumb.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Questions are good.
So,
Questions are always.
so
Got it.
third grade 22, 23, or second graders 21, 22.
Correct.
So that class shows a real improvement in the top.
If we go to the next chart, this is why I did this. Next slide. It's exactly for that reason, because now I'm showing cohort data.
Okay.
So the first bar is kindergarten. There's only one bar because they have nothing to compare to.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have kindergarten 21, 22 compared to first grade 22, 23, right? So that's the same group of students as they move through the grade levels. So if you pull out that second grade as an example, really what you're looking for is that yellow band to balance out over the 50th percentile line. That would be everybody on average, maintaining average. So you can see that from second to third grade, overall, in terms of proficiency, they're the same, but there is an improvement in terms of a number of students have moved from that high average to the high band.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that makes sense to everybody. And if you have questions, please stop me and ask. So let's take a little time and look at it.
All right, so if you go to, say, the 9th, 21, 22, 9th, okay, 9th to 10th. So does that mean the blue, we don't have anybody in the blue when they went into 10th grade?
That's
Okay,
what it
so we
means.
lost that 11% and went down to 13%. Okay, and the same thing, we went up the 10th grade from 6% to 11%. So we gained more students getting proficient in reading.
So this
So
is these are the same group of kids. So these kids that are ninth graders
Right.
this year were eighth graders last year.
That's right, but I'm
Yes.
saying when we go from a number higher to a number lower, are we saying we lost proficiency?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
yeah, so if you're looking
Okay.
at this set of bars, we did lose numbers of students who were proficient from one grade to the next.
Same test. Same
test,
kids.
Same kids.
So whatever we're doing for second to third grade, we should look at them to see they are blowing us out of the water. Same with kindergarten to first, 7 to 14%.
Something to keep in mind when you're following a cohort of students.
Right.
One group of students is not like another group of students.
Yeah.
Sugar.
And the experiences they've had. Yes.
Yep.
So if we go on to now, this next set of charts is growth percentile. So that first set we were looking at was test achievement. This set is growth. So this is percentage of students in each of those percentile bands by nationally normed growth. Again, this first chart, the kindergarten last year to kindergarten this year, first grade last year to first grade this year. So different kids, same test, same grade. But this represents the number of students who are actually showing growth from wherever they were. So they may have very low achievement, but very high growth.
So are you actually then saying, if you looked at first 22, 23 was 18%, and then next year they would be the second 21, 22, or no, that's not right. Okay, never mind. I got it.
Yeah, to make that comparison
Yeah.
a little easier, if we go to the next
Okay.
slide.
Sarah?
Is it fair to say that we're working with such small numbers of students in each class that any sort of, especially looking at the cohort model, you're going to lose some students and gain some students in a class as one year to the next, right? So the makeup of the class isn't exactly the same year to year, right? And that we're dealing with such small numbers of students that any change can have a larger impact on the scores because we're working with such small numbers.
Yes, we are a small school environment, so that does play a large role in these numbers. Some of the schools, like Rutland Town, has larger class sizes, or Poultney has some fairly large class sizes compared to other schools in our district. Certainly not large like Burlington or Rutland City. But the schools that are affected more by that are schools like Proctor.
Yeah. So my point is that if you've got a kiddo who comes in and scores, who wasn't there in kindergarten and is there in first grade and scores like really well on their tests, like that's going to have an outsized impact, and vice versa, right? On kind of the patterns that we see. Yeah.
That's correct. So the slide we've got up on the screen right now, again, is by cohort. So we're looking at the same kids on the same test, different grade levels.
So when I look at some of the red bars, just looking at the low, like that's the green and the blue are attractive, and the yellow to kind of look across with in the cohort graph. It's this I don't know Fulton section here, but the second, when they go to the next year, the 2022-2023 year, if there's an increase in percent of that low, that would maybe be flagging something going on, right? And if not just in one grade, but across, like, if you look at, again, I'm in the Fulton one, but the 7th to 8th, 8th to 9th, 9th, 10th, 10th, 11th, that red, you're getting more kids in the lower in growth, right?
That's and so it doesn't mean they're not growing.
Growing, right. They're in the
They're
lower.
just in the lower end of the growth.
So, it's not quite as stark there, but.
And is this being spoken about when parents come for teacher conferences, like particularly the growth piece?
I didn't have it today, but.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I never heard it when my child was here. So I'm just wondering if it's something we're relying on it and it's something we're taking time out of our meeting to discuss. It's something we're hiring interventionists for. It seems to me, and this has always been a kind of a big issue for me, parents need to be part of the equation. And if you're not sharing that information with parents, then how are they helping you in the process? So
I did a hard copy. You can do like a family, it's like a 2-page thing. I did a front back.
Yep.
And sent it out snail mail.
Yeah.
Didn't hear a response back, but I sent it out to every parent, just said, it was also progress report time.
Sure.
Back in February, I think, the end of February. But anyway, we sent it out just because when we met at West Rutland, we're talking about going over this data with my staff. Someone's like, that same question came up about the parents not, the parents know about it. So we found that 1-page report and printed them off for all our students and sent them out.
But did parents not respond because they don't understand how to read the report?
The report it's very, I mean, if you see the report, that's what I was saying, is like, but it's very, this is what it says. And
Okay.
It's very.
The parent report itself gives the data for the individual student.
Sure.
And their growth and goals. And there's a second page that comes with it that explains each piece of the report.
Okay.
So it's labeled, it comes with an explanation, and it is available for the parents.
Okay. So is that something that all schools are sharing then?
I know, we share K to 8 with both maps, K to 6 and in Passbridge K to 6, and then 8th grade, Passbridge is not done in
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade in the upper grades. So, but that information is shared at parent-teacher conferences. So, and I always look at, we all spent time at one of our in-services this year with our faculty, as Joe said, and you really are looking at the percentage of growth. As Alice said, this is a snapshot on a day, couple of days that they take.
Right.
One in the fall, right when we get back, and one in January. It's part of the equation of a total picture of a child and their growth. It's not the end all be all, but I'm looking at percentage of growth. We're also looking at how are they making towards their proficiencies
Sure.
throughout the year. So, it's good information to have. It's information we should be using and we
Yeah.
should be collecting. But it's part of the equation.
Understood, but I'm just saying if we say it's part of the equation here that we're all using, then parents need to be included in that equation. And I just think that particularly with COVID, I know, things got a little, what conferences and things, but I just think that, I can remember when we had other leaders sitting here and saying, parents can't understand, what it is. And, I just think it's important if you want parents to, we say we want community engagement. We say we want parents to partner with us. We say we want parents to be part of the process and moving our students forward. But if we're not sharing with them and the growth, and that's what I'm talking about, just the growth aspect, so, for some kids, if they gain 4%, that may be huge, but that's just going to be just as important to that parent to know that too, to have that information. So I would like to see us have that level of consistency across all of our schools, that we are sharing that out, because we talk about this stuff a lot at these meetings, and we say that's why we're, hiring people and we're using this as a basis for assessing kids and things like that. So I think that, we should do our due diligence and share the information with the parents.
So, Lisa, I'll just add that I've had conversation with Lisa Madison about this, and that next year we'll be looking to settle on Passbridge or MAP on grade level. I think one of the things that we have to do is across not just Quarry Valley, but across the FGU, develop a common unified approach in terms of messaging. How to communicate to families. We talked before about parent portals.
Right.
What sort of information we put on websites. Where it be just a short, 2 or 3 minute video in terms of what this report means. But we really have to stress the importance to families around this growth. I know Jay said this one piece of the data puzzle, but
Sure.
It's an important piece of the data puzzle, particularly as we look at we just received a memo this past week from interim secretary Heather Boucher around that what our cognitive VitCap scores really will mean this year, and we really have to lean heavily on our own local assessments, which would be MAP or Passbridge. In order for us to do that, we really have to make sure that families and students understand this. As someone who's worked with MAP for many years in a couple different states, there's a lot of message, not just with families, but also with students. I mean, they don't understand what these reports mean, setting goals, and how they can improve.
And taking them seriously too, because I think as we get to the higher grades, they don't see the reasoning or the impact, and making parents understand that there is an impact. That impact comes back on your school, on your district, whether you're a school, that the state's using that as a snapshot too of how well we're doing. So I just think, stressing the importance of it too. So if we're discussing it with parents, then we're telling parents it's important. Kids need to be taking it seriously.
So just from a Pulteney standpoint, I don't have kids in any of the other schools, but I did just have the second parent-teacher conferences, and they were great about going through maps or the testings with me and my son. And they were really good about, pointing out to him, he's like, well, does this mean I'm, weaker in my reading than I am in my, math? And he did get very engaged. So I know that at least at the high school, I don't have any in the elementary right now, and I don't have any in any other school, but they were great about communicating this with parents.
Well, that's good. That's great. Good job.
And one thing I can add to what Chris was saying, he talked to Lisa, Lisa has talked to me, and together we're going to be drafting some more consistent messaging for the next school year
Great.
around the testing to go home. with him is why we test.
Chris, you said whether it's gonna be MAPS or the one that we have,
Fastbridge.
or Fastbridge, so there is actually a possibility that Fastbridge may not be used and will stay with MAPS?
We're looking at which grade level will be appropriate for Fastbridge, which grade level will be appropriate for MAP. So
Of
we'll,
like we talked, okay.
correct, and we'll have that
Okay,
determination made probably, by next board meeting.
Okay,
So, but
thanks.
I know we really, we're looking at data, we're looking at just what recommendations might be, but this year, we're aware that, the students have taken a lot of assessments. And we need to scale back on that. It's important, but we are looking at which most appropriate for grade level where you're a K through 3, K through 6 band, you have Fastbridge, and the 7th through 9 or 10th grade would be matched, or 4 through 9 or 10. I think there's still some discussions, and I think we'll have this decision made probably by the next board meeting here. So,
Okay, because that's the other thing too, as we change the names for the parents, they're just, they just get on board with one
correct.
and you feel like you've hit the nail with them, and then you bring in another another name with them, and they're like, oh, okay, you can just see it in their eyes as they look at you, because we have conversations with people about, gosh, it's so hard to keep up with this stuff, and what does it mean, and so that would be great if you could make a determination and say to the parents, we're going to still use MAPS for this. Okay, so you're on board for MAPS, and
And Fastbridge and MAPS, they both show growth. So like I said, the report may just be a little different. I know, as Joe said, when you really see in that very report, it is pretty daunting. I mean, it's tough to work through sometimes. So we also look at how we can more appropriately message this sometimes to families have a better understanding of this. There's a lot of ed speak. We talk all the time about we use acronyms. People have no idea what MTSS, or we throw around Act 173. People have no idea what we're talking about. So we have to make sure when we are, messaging around MAP or Fastbridge that really understand, the growth that is shown. And that's something which we are looking to obviously improve achievement, but growth is something which we're really stressing heavily, because like I said before, the cognitive aspect really is that one snapshot of one day over the course of the year. While the MAP or Fastbridge really charts over the course of the year, but it also allows for our staff to make real-time decisions, around curriculum and lesson design, and to improve that for the students. So if they see students struggling, they can make interventions much earlier. So it's less of a triage and more of a kind of responsive.
thank you.
So the last chart that's on, I think in the packets, I printed them as two separate graphs to make them a little easier to read. The blue dots represent the 21-22 school year. The red dots represent the 22-23 school year. And this is a quadrant chart. That is growth on the y-axis and achievement is on the x-axis. So if you start in the upper right quadrant would be high growth, high achievement. The lower right quadrant would be growth but high achievement. The upper left quadrant represents lower achievement but high growth. And the lower left quadrant is low achievement and low growth. And obviously we want to be primarily above that center horizontal line. We want high growth, no matter where you are on the other one.
Okay, so the right side upper is high growth, high achievement.
Yes.
Right there.
High achievement.
High growth.
So high achievement and
High
high growth.
achievement. Okay. Thank you.
So that whole first set of charts was just the reading. There's another set for math, for Pulteney that follows on, and then it's the same. It's duplicates of the data for each of the separate schools in Quarry Valley.
Okay.
Are there any questions beyond that or any further explanations you'd like?
Thank you.
We do have one board member at home. Would you mind if I made a copy of the shared slides with, or
Oh, yeah.
just so they can take a look? All right, so Sarah, I will send you a copy of these, okay? All right, great, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks.
Al, I'm Linda Smith. I'm very new, and I should know this, but I've learned to ask questions. And could you tell me who you are? And
Oh, I'm sorry. I
no,
apologize.
these people know you, and it's my fault. I just want to.
So my name is Al Gregorich, and I am the district data manager for the Greater Rutland County Supervisor.
Okay. Thank you, Al. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Apologize for not introducing.
No,
myself.
that's, I'm sorry
please
I
don't.
didn't introduce
No,
you.
don't. On a scale from 1 to 10, it's a -20. I'm in the lower quadrant.
I'm not gonna believe that.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, and this is where we're looking for a volunteer for,
So, yeah, so each year and I want to thank Kristen who did this last year. So we have a partnership with Stafford. It's called the Regional Advisory Board. And since we have obviously 3 schools that send students to Stafford Tech, it's a meeting that's held, 2 or 3 times a year. I go to it, and then we also like to send a board member. It's typically in the morning. All right, Linda, you.
I did it before, so I'll be glad to do it again.
okay, great.
I can tell you when the next meeting is. I think I already got an email about it.
Will you send me? Okay, send
There's
me.
a May, right? There's a May meeting. Wait, and then there's,
Yeah, right
I
before,
think there's 3 in the, 2 in the following and 1.
right in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So just send me the, yeah, and
I'm
where
on
I'm
the
supposed to
internet now,
go, and yeah, I'll
So,
be glad to
Linda,
go.
I will reach out to the director, Melissa O'Connor, and let her know that you'll be attending. So
Yes.
she'll send you the invite. So I'll do
Okay,
that tomorrow
okay.
morning.
Thank you, Chris.
Great. All right.
Are we the only board that sends somebody? Because I know we have this, I don't know.
There are
other
other
people.
representatives.
No, but sometimes it's like,
Already estimated that was.
yeah, or sometimes the superintendents go to.
So
Yeah, the superintendent.
most of the other have a board member.
Oh, really? Because when I went, it didn't seem like there were many board members either. It was all like business people. But now you're going, you'll be back where they're going to feed you again. Kristen and I had to go through the time period where it was only online. You didn't get the benefit of it.
There was, I
Oh,
went to the
did you?
last 2, at least the last 2 had some goodies.
Oh, yeah.
Because
In
the
the
kids
dollhouse.
cook it, don't they? The kids actually
Yeah, the
cook it.
dollhouse.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
little pastries and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very
what I
crowded
need.
room.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
I don't know how you're on top of each other. There are a lot of people attend.
Yeah.
They're interesting meetings. It's hard for me to get there on time because of the time they start.
Mary
at
Jo
8.
did it for a while, I think, too.
Yep, she did.
Yeah.
So it started at 8, right? I think it was
Yeah.
8 to 9:15
Yeah.
usually.
They start early. All right, new business. So, Quarry Valley commingling of ballots discussion. So this year when we counted ballots, Betsy was like, "Why are we doing it?" Because we have to all take our ballots and go to Pulte because Betsy is our clerk, and so we all go. So West Rutland and Proctor, we have to collect our ballots from the town clerk, go to Pulte, wait for everybody to show up, and then you have to count what you brought in your picnic basket to make sure that number is what the town clerk says you have. And then you have to put them all on a table and mix them all up and count them again, even though they all look exactly the same. They're all pink ballots to make sure the number is the same. And then you have to separate them out and count them yay and nay. And rarely do you get to just count one time because they stick together or you've counted too quickly or whatever. So this year we were there till like 10 o'clock. It's really obnoxious. And so Betsy had done some work, and there's a couple of things we could do. And I think the easiest one is for us to purchase a tabulator, which is about $5,000. And it's something Wells Springs does now. So like they have a tabulator, and once they do municipal stuff, they take it off, put another one on, and they do school things. So we'd still have to bring our ballots to Pulteney, and we'd still have to count them when we get there, but then we could feed them in. We wouldn't have to count them all by hand. So a tabulator is about $5,000. And this is where the discussion is.
So where would would that get stored in, then in Pulteney?
Yeah, because she has the machine and she's the
It would be
clerk.
wherever the secretary is.
Wherever the clerk
The
is.
clerk is, so
Okay.
clerk changes.
Yeah,
So right now,
yeah, it would belong to the district.
Well, that's what I was thinking, like,
Yeah.
would towns ever need or request to use it, right? They don't, there's no.
No, because anything we would be
That.
doing, we would be doing collectively.
Collectively.
So,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Now, is that what we were at West Rutland, I was talking to the town clerks, the girl from Bolton and the two from West Rutland. Their big thing is they don't want to travel. They said they would like to be able to count them and then call and say, this is what we got.
yeah,
That's what they really don't want to travel. That's their big
yeah.
thing.
But I'm not sure how you get around that because she's the clerk. And so you have to count in the only way we got around it that one year was because of COVID, where we could count in our own town and then just call it in.
Way
So,
to look into that,
might be able
because they
to-
really don't want to travel. I mean, that's their big thing.
So-
yeah, but they don't have to travel. It's two JPs that travel. Like they didn't travel. It was two.
No, but they don't, the people that are traveling don't want to travel either. They want to be able to do it all right there and then just call the girl in Pulteney. The girl in Pulteney agreed too, that traveling.
Another way you might be able to do that, Tom, is you might be able to vote in that each clerk is an assistant.
Or however, yeah, the traveling's the bit, they
Right.
just,
If they were each assistant clerks.
people
to the
don't want to
district.
travel, because by the time the polls shut down, they get their stuff together, they get the poll, like you said, you were there.
Well, that's because you have to count. I
Yeah,
mean, the
but it would
polls
be-
closed. I was there in, 20 minutes. I was waiting for West Rutland to show up.
Yeah, but like, that's their big thing, people don't want to travel. And that's what, Mr. Harvey and the other guy, that's, I don't know if we can go back to each town count their own and talk and call it. I don't know if that's.
So I'm not sure about that because and I don't know if you can have co-clerks like that.
We'd have to pay them something. to be
Yeah,
assistant.
well, you'd have to vote them in.
If I'm saying, there's another way to do it. That's another option.
Yeah. I don't know.
Did
We'd have
they
to ask the
Did they
lawyer.
come up with a different way of dealing with?
Well,
this?
that's what
Or
Betsy sent a thing and said that, about the tabulator, because she knows down in Wells that that's what they do. And then, the other was, in Taconic and Green, I guess they held a special meeting.
Correct.
And they,
Which allowed them to do what Tom and
yeah,
talked about where somebody.
but
wanted
we'd
to-
also have to vote to change our articles of agreement. Because in our articles of agreement, it says commingling, so. You could hold a special meeting and ask to do that, or you could vote in March and ask to do that.
It'd be a special election, wouldn't it? That's a special meeting.
Well, I mean,
We had to do it to Scott and Green, and what Betsy said. It was a special election around that item.
So instead of commingling, everybody would count their own.
yeah,
Just report the numbers.
Phone it in, right?
Yeah,
To the
to her.
person Who's the clerk.
Yeah.
If you want, I could reach out to our attorney. I could also reach out to the states, and then just have information at this time next month.
because the state did pass a thing that said we were supposed to commingle.
Right, that was-
So that's the other piece. There was that piece of legislation that passed. So that's why the tabulator,
And there's no way to have like a tabulator in each, like, let's say finances aren't an issue, but of course that's a
Yeah.
ridiculous statement, but if there was a tabulator at each place, there's no technology that the tabulators can then
talk to each other.
calculate, yeah, and
No.
then it's decentralized.
No, they don't do that.
Those tabulators are actually programmed for the election.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, technically they could be. Technically they could be.
But then
Software is
you need
available.
something in each
Right.
place,
Yeah.
which
Right.
is another cost. Yeah.
So I guess the first thing we need to do is have Chris contact the attorney and see if we can not commingle altogether in light of legislation. If we can just hold a special meeting and,
Yeah, to kind of agree, this is back in 2018.
yeah,
So this is a while ago. And so
in January
maybe a
they
little
passed,
But I can still ask and
Yeah.
see if that is an option.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you can't. I don't. I
Yeah.
thought Mrs. Weiner said something about there was somebody doing that. And I don't remember.
yeah, but in January, the legislatures passed a thing where if you're a unified union district that merged, that you have to commingle your ballots.
Geography doesn't.
Yeah,
So I can reach out, I'll reach out to Chris Leopold and Will Setting.
okay. And so we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just
The question on that is, if we can't, is why can't we change our articles?
Yeah.
Why can't we change our, why can't we have a vote to change the article?
well, we could,
That's what I just want to make sure that.
but the big piece is the legislative piece.
But even if we did that, we still don't need, we wouldn't need a tabulator then, or would we?
No.
want
No,
that? 'Cause
you
it
just
would
have-
Be a hand count. at
JPs
each
would count them
place.
and then
Yeah.
report to the clerk. Clerk would then
You just
report to her.
count your own town.
Does the
And-
legislature, oh, sorry.
And can we change our articles to incorporate the clerks to be assistant secretaries of the SU? So it gives them authority.
Just send me an email with that question. That way I'll just be able to work myself put that together. So make sure I get, yeah, that's okay.
Does the legislature thing that you were talking about, when you changed the articles in terms of what you were just saying, we can't do that because of the word commingling. Did they make any, did they say anything about, oh, you can do it? You don't have to use that if you do the articles of agreement. Is there anything in there?
In January, I can't remember exactly what it says, but in January, they passed and said that if you were a merger district, that you had to commingle your ballots. That was the essence of it, so.
Okay. Thank you.
But we could, or the people in the state could lobby to have that changed. It's not forever, it's only forever if we don't touch it.
Right,
Not that we'll do that or that it will happen, but that's part of the legislative process that if you really feel strongly about your legislative.
but while they're waiting to do
Right.
that,
Yeah.
Betsy would like us to be a little more
Right.
proactive.
You have to do what you have to do now.
Yeah.
That has to be the way forever.
Right. Okay, so Chris will follow up with Chris Leopold and we'll keep it on the agenda so it doesn't fall off the table, so we can be proactive and hopefully get something, yeah. All right, job titles and responsibilities, I'll throw this to Chris. There's been some inquiry about, common language with,
Right. So people have been asking, I know that's something which we're still dealing with post-merger issues around job titles and that people had, kind of grandfathered when they, from their, whether it be Rutland Central or, and so with new contracts, we are looking to try to phase out and get people on the same title. I know that we're looking to do that this year with the facilities directors. We used to have head custodians, we used to have a facilities director of facilities. It's just, while the semantics, it did cause some issues in some of our spaces where, while one person who was serving as, say, a facilities director had a head custodian title, but someone else had a head custodian title and within the district. So we're working through this process of trying to align all titles. And that's something where descriptions aren't changing, but it's really just more so when someone sees that interventionist, here's what intervention is across it. So someone's not calling like a reading assistant, or it's an intervention.
Right.
So we're working through that. And we're making progress, but there's still situations that pop up here and there. So
Well, yeah, because it's a behavioral person, you know, or a family school coordinator. I thought, you know, what I'm trying to do is just try to read as much as I possibly can so that, you know, I'm sort of trying to not walk into it, but run a little bit. Jay and I had an interesting thing about a person's name, and it turned out to be something totally different, but it was kind of fun to do for a little bit. But it was just sometimes people, you know, if they look at the Quarry Valley book and they see some of the things that are in West Rutland, and one of them says behavioral specialist and homeschool coordinator. Well, what does the homeschool coordinator do that's different from the behavioral specialist? And how come there's too many?
different titles? I mean,
Yeah.
two different jobs. That's like a teacher. So I can understand, like, we have had some behaviorists, or let's say a homeschool coordinator, like a school counselor, that as we're trying to transition a person who might be working towards a provisional for a school counselor. But I think there are people all times who will say, well, what is this? What is this title? What does this job do? That's where you can just ask an administrator or myself or Lewis or Lisa Madison, anyone who can explain what that is. So there are different titles for different jobs.
Right.
But I think what we're trying to work through is that people within that same job, that they have the same title.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's exactly it
Yeah,
in a
and-
nutshell.
Right. So
Yeah.
we're working through that, and I think with each new case, we quickly look to to resolve that. Right.
Okay, great. Pulteney High School bleachers.
Joe, do you want to
Yeah,
start us off?
so our bleachers are 45 years old. They were installed when the addition was put in 1978, I think, or 75, 77, 78. A few years ago, the guys came in and they did the inspection on it. In order to pass inspection, I think we spent like $13,000 to go through and inspect it. And, we just got a quote this year, and it's like another $14,000 to repair it. So ask the guys to give me a quote for new bleachers, just because if we're going to be spending $13,000 to $15,000 every 2 years on 45-year-old bleachers. They are wooden bleachers. There's I did just send Chris I did a little like PowerPoint. There's some they've been repaired so many times. There's like different sets of drill holes where we moved the bolts over here. We've moved them twice. This is the third time we've moved the bolts. The motors just went. What's that?
Can you share that with the board?
Yeah, I mean, I just was trying to do. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to put PDFs in there, but
This is for all of them, not one section.
Yeah.
This is the whole wall.
the whole wall, both sides. And there's just over the years with the handicap accessibility and
Inside.
no, I'm sorry, I meant both sides. If you're
Okay.
looking at
Okay.
the left and right hand side.
Yeah, the whole wall.
Just kind of hard to tell, but those are the stairs where the stairs were not original on there. The stairs were put in, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many years ago. That's like where the wheels digging into it. The middle one there, it's hard to see too, but yeah, there's some different, sorry, I'm just gonna use your show and tell here. You see where the holes have been drilled before, and then they've moved the bolts over and stuff like that. And then, the next one was, there's, again, the plates for the things have been moved. This one, like the board is cracked. I know I'm a light guy, but walked up on the set of the bleachers there, and one is solid. I stepped up on another one and dropped it 2 to 3 inches, and I walked up to the next one. We can repair them. I know we have.
How old are they, Joe?
What's that?
How old are they?
They're about 45 years. Whenever they put the addition on in the late 70s, they're the original. We've modified them. Like I said, the steps were put in. The railings were put in. that's front section there. That's just showing, it's just, they're old, they're chipping. We've replaced boards, last time they came in, and I don't know, again, I wasn't, Rich and I have talked, but this is the quote we got, $13,650 to come in and repair them and to get them to pass inspection. Like I said, I think we spent 12 or 13,000 2 years ago. And then, so we just asked the guy for 2 sets of bleachers. He gave us a quote of $96,300. He had a thing in there for removing the old bleachers, but we're like, we can take those. They said if you get a dumpster, and I mean, again, so that's $7,500. That's something we can look at. But that was the total quote they gave us again. It's like a 2-page quote. I tried to get it. I do have a copy of it here. But
So is there only one place to buy bleachers?
no, there's not. And this was just one quote we got. We'd have to obviously go out for bid on this.
Yeah.
But before, we didn't want to go out for bid if and then come to the board and be like, oh, we went out for bid for $97,000. Type
Sure.
thing. So, we don't even know the timeline, to be honest with you. If it's, we can hopefully get them done over the summer. It does get approved, but we don't know yet. But this was just the guy that the company is Hussey Advantage is the name of and they kind of he gave us a quote from another. So, and they're going to change the blueprints here. It's changed a little bit where how they're going to put the handicap accessible piece in the front middle. Right now we have, when we first walk into our gym, the bleachers, those of you who don't know, we walk into our gym, the bleachers are on one side, and the handicap spots are right there at the end. Now they have them handicap spots in the middle, the railings and the handrails if you're walking up the middle section. But again, I just asked the guy, to give me a quote just because I want to compare apples to orange or apples to apples here. Just if we're going to spend this much to repair a set of bleachers that are 45 years old, and we just spent about that much money 2 years ago to repair them. What are we going to? And like I said, the motors just went. They're the plug-in electric motors. All 4 of them went within a week. Rich got a quote up here in Rutland to get them repaired. I think it was going to be like around $2,000 to repair the motors. We pulled them out so we can move the bleachers in and out right now, but we're holding off on that just to wait. We'll get them repaired if we have to, but if not, then if you guys say go for it with the new bleachers, then we'll just keep pulling it. We don't have to do it much now with basketball season being out, but we do, our Monday morning meetings. We have the kids sitting there, and we have a couple assemblies coming up and stuff like that. So they still are being pulled out once in a while, but not as much as during basketball season.
Okay.
And is that for everything? Motors, railings,
Everything.
steps?
Yep.
Everything.
As far as yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's.
When do the current ones have to be inspected by? Or does it expire?
They'll come in over the summer and do it. I don't know, to be honest with you. That's a great question. I don't have that answer for that. I know we usually get them in every 2 years, I think, to come in and look at them. Used to be a company right out of here in Cambridge, New York. And then they were mom and pop, literally husband and wife that did it. They retired, and we looked around. The other company we got was from Maine, and they came in and it was just like, they went through it. I mean, we had to repair. Luckily we had a local welder who could weld it up, one of the the bars for us there under the bleachers. The guy was like, he came in over the summer and he was like, nobody is sitting in those bleachers until that's done. And
Do we have ours inspected?
Yes, they are looked at. Ours are substantially smaller.
Yeah.
But yes, they have to be, just like a playground, they have to be inspected.
and the newer ones are the plastic, lighter ones too.
Yeah, we had some work done on
Everybody
ours.
use the same company maybe for inspections?
That I don't know. I know ours were inspected just a couple of years ago. I remember the guy coming in, we had a little bit of work to do, but
Yeah,
it was pretty minor. Ours are substantially newer.
Oh, yeah.
96 or somewhere around there.
Get them cushion.
We get the padded seats. Oh, you should see, I was getting on their website. There's some,
Okay.
you got the money, you can get some nice stuff in there. I tell you.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna
It
get.
seems kind of weird to do it
All right, so we'd spend 13,000 in 2 years, and probably 2 years we'd spend another 13, and another 2 years, maybe another 13. So we're already at what? 40,000. We're almost halfway there. And then at some point, they might say to you, we can't inspect them anymore.
Well, and that's why I
So-
said we were like, you know, we figured a couple of years ago because it was a new company coming in and like I said, they went through with a fine tooth comb and I figured they were gonna charge us. But then when they came back again, it's like, and like I said, the drill holes where stuff has been, put a new plate on and we're gonna re-drill over here just a couple inches and it's like, you know, they have to, I think they have to do something with the stair. Again, I'm not positive, but you know, the specs change and stuff like that. Some of it's grandfathered in, but like those stairs were put in.
Do they tell you how they guarantee, like how many years they guarantee them for? Or they
You
don't?
know, they just, you know, it's,
Do last long.
Okay,
they do last a long
Yeah.
time, but
Okay.
again, you know, with,
because they are plastic.
well, no, this is the wooden one, so
Oh.
it just makes it that much more heavier. You know, I said
Right.
we've replaced, I mean, replacing the boards is the easy part. It's the stuff underneath the structural pieces that's kind of, you know,
Okay, so a motion would be in order to have Lewis go out to bed for bleachers for Pulteney.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Catherine. Any discussion
At least that's for the replacement, correct?
for replacement? Yes. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Approval of the minutes, the March 2023. A motion would be in order to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Motion will be in order for the approval of the warrants. Warrants are sent to you via your GRCSU email, and questions should be sent to Lewis. A motion will be in order for the approval of the warrants.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Superintendent's report.
Thanks, Lisa. Just a few items to discuss, and I know that, I apologize for the lateness of my report. A lot of times I'm waiting to see if there's anything to do with the legislature. You know, sometimes we'll get a report late Friday night, early Monday morning, but as of right now, there's not much going on. In the report, it just provides just some updates, that's in bold in terms of whether an item is moved from the House to the Senate or from the Senate to the House. I think the only thing that has occurred since then the only thing that I saw was just that it was S56, which is the pre-K study. Basically, the Senate has passed it. It's moved to the House committee. That happened on April 5th. So that was primarily it. But there are a lot of things, obviously, we're continue to keep an eye on. And as soon as we have updates, I'll take the board and we'll discuss that as well. As we discussed, the cognitive VidCap assessment window has opened. It opened up yesterday. And I know that we talked that the original window was going from April 12th to May 26th, but in that same memo that I referenced earlier in the meeting, had the interim secretary had let us know that they've extended the testing window by 2 weeks. So the new end of the testing window is around June 9th. And so the admins, you know, obviously have been messaging with their families and with their staff around this. But yeah, so I know there's been a lot of frustration with the rollout of the VidCap and cognitive. But we hope that you know, we'll get through this and we'll work through it. We have kinks, and then next year will be a little bit better year for us. Strategic planning. This past Monday, we had our last design team meeting. That was over at West Rutland. So at this meeting, the group that had been working with the writing team had last opportunity to review the draft of the plan, give some feedback. The writing team met today to take a look at that feedback, make some updates to the plan. Our next goal is working on getting the draft ready to go for the June 6th board meeting, the GRCSU board meeting, which we'll present to the board that time. And then the board will then just decide whether to adopt or want to send back with some recommendations. Our ultimate goal is to have the plan approved, ready to go, and roll it out to our communities in August. We did talk about doing it in July, but July is very difficult just with people on vacation. It's not the best time really to message something like this, but we were looking at doing a rollout in August prior to the start of the school year, and we're also looking at just ways to engage our communities, not just with an email, but with the open house, community forums, at local meetings, because they said it's going to be it's an important document for us, for the SU and for our local district schools.
And you guys deserve an awful lot of credit for doing that, because that's a monumental task. So I have to say, thanks. You know, really a monumental task.
You haven't seen it yet, Linda.
I know, but
Hold your applause.
Doing it
No,
is
me,
so-
I'll let Shelley, thank you
Thanks.
for the work.
I also just wanted to the April 4th GRCSU board meeting, the SU board they voted to waive snow days for both students and staff. And I just want to let probably once again know that the last day for students will be June 16th. That is on the current school calendar, so that will not be changing. We also have announced our graduation dates and times, and if the admins don't mind, I'll just quickly run through these, if that's okay. Polling Elementary Schools graduation will be June 14th at 6:00 p.m. Polling High Schools, the high schools are already on the calendar, but that's not changed. So Polling High School will still be June 9th at 6 p.m. Proctor Elementary School will be June 15th at 6 p.m. Proctor High School has not changed. That stays at June 10th at 10 a.m. West Rutland has an 8th grade promotion ceremony that's being held June 15th at 6 p.m. And then West Rutland has their high school graduation, and that's the same date, June 9th at 6 p.m. And so that'll be messaged out. I think they probably have their weekly memos going out already. So, I do want to thank our admins for working through that. We had to wait for the snow day before we could set those final dates. So I also received a notice from Melissa O'Connor, who's over at Stafford, that this past week, we had a lot of our Quarry Valley students who attend Stafford Tech competed in the Vermont Skills USA competition. I just want to publicly recognize some of these individuals. So I just want to make a note that any student who earned a gold medal qualifies to attend the National Skills USA competition that will be held in June in Atlanta, Georgia. So with this, we had we did have one gold medalist in a category, the additive manufacturing. Was a Pulteney student, Kenzie Ezzo. So I congratulate Kenzie. We had 3 silver medalists in the employment application process. Was Bex King from Proctor. In the Facilathon was Kenzie Ezzo from Pulteney. In the prepared speech category, we had Emily Burns from Proctor. And then we had a number of bronze medalists in action skills. We had Erica Woodbury from Pulteney. Cosmetology was Kylie Ezzo from Pulteney. Crime scene investigation, Courtney Ezzo from Pulteney. Job interview was Grayson Skaza. And I apologize if I said that name.
Skaza.
Thank you, Grayson Skaza. Thank you. West Rutland. And medical math was also Grayson Skaza from West Rutland. And our last medalist, bronze medalist, was in welding fabrication was Cameron Canucci from Proctor. So I just want to congratulate those individuals on a job well done. So, great. Thanks. And so that's all I have for tonight. So any questions? We're happy to answer.
I was just going to add, it was interesting. The Vermont Digger had an interesting article, which I thought was pretty well done on this, on special education. Schools across are 75% not in compliance, but they went in deeper and said that it could be even a wrong phrase. And,
So Linda,
and they're dinged.
I'll just say that,
So I thought that was interesting.
it is interesting, but the good news is that all of our schools received a meets requirement, so we were not part of any of those schools.
Isn't
So
that great?
I do want to thank
that's
our
good.
special educator administrators. I know that our past administrators, Kim Stedman and Christine and Cam, as well as Bill Basics, all the work they're doing. But so we were not part of that. None of us was part of that 3/4. So
Isn't that great?
that's
That's a congratulations.
All right. Principal reports. You received your packet, principal reports in the packets. Does anybody have anything they want to highlight? Sure.
I'd like to publicly congratulate 3 of our 4th graders for winning, for their winning entries that were displayed at the Colton Chamber of Commerce Maple Fest. And the pictures are in the report. It was Kate Morgan, 1st place, Nora Callahan, 2nd place, and Tori Wisniewski, 3rd place. Very proud of them. Our open house participation rate is 85%.
Wow.
I think it's pretty good. So I'm really thankful that parents came out. We'd like to congratulate Mr. Harrington for another successful year coaching History Day. If you don't mind, I'd like to just read this quickly and then I'll stop. Congratulations, Colton Elementary School students Sabina Kraus and Emma Boyer for qualifying for National History Day in College Park, Maryland. Sabina and Emma, along with Mr. Harrington, placed 2nd in the junior group documentary category with their project entitled The Wright Brothers, Frontier and Flight. This year's National History Day theme is Frontiers in History, People, Places, and Ideas. The girls, along with Mr. Harrington, will travel to the University of Maryland June 11th through the 15th to compete at National History Day. It will mark the 18th consecutive year that Colton students have qualified for National History Day. So,
That's great.
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah. Nice.
Joe?
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah, just to highlight, I'm starting you notice my principal's report now. I'm trying to say congratulations, start with a bunch of great news, but just to highlight we went back to Model Congress, haven't been there in a few years because of COVID. Mr. Bartenstein, our new social studies teacher, it's his 1st year there. He wanted to keep it small. He brought 3 boys down. Their bill was get rid of the penny. Didn't get out of committee, but I mean, there's schools down there that they have classes that for the class, they just work on this. That's part of they earn credit on it. And our kids are doing this after school. And, it was great seeing the group of 3 kids sitting there at lunchtime and, just hoping that but it's nice to, I told him when he left, he said, you're going to come back, you're going to learn a lot. I said, just 1st year, just absorb it all and learn a lot. And he came back and goes, yeah, we're going to do it a lot different next year, but it's good. It just, one of the things I noticed with COVID is you don't have that, you had your juniors and seniors were teaching the freshmen and sophomores and even the middle school kids, this is how to do it. And when things shut down for 2 or 3 years, it's like we're starting all over. They didn't have that mentoring. So a lot of these things we're starting over again. And shout out to Mrs. Christensen, our art teacher. She is getting these kids in art shows all over. I'm going to say all over the Northeast because she's going down to Massachusetts and in Vermont. They're up here in the Chaffee. They're down in the Southern Vermont, up at the State House, and I don't know where they're all over the place. She's got a new one every day. I joked with her. I said, "How many got 5 more?" She goes, "No, we only have 4." I was like, "Oh, okay." Our kids, it's great. And one of our students, her picture, Catherine Phillips, her picture was like on one of the art show brochures that they were putting out for everybody. Her picture, one of her drawings or paintings was on there. So it just, it's just great. We always tell the kids, we give them opportunities to get out there and they can go out and compete against, all these other schools, stuff like that. So, just shout out to, the teachers that are, trying to, it's nice to see these things get rolling again and getting outside and getting all these activities and those kind of things.
It's exciting. It's exciting when you see it in different papers and stuff that it's our kids. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see that.
That's very nice to put it. To put it that way.
Jay?
It's nice.
Just a couple of things I wanted to highlight. We brought back the Night of the Shining Stars after a 3-year hiatus, trying to go back with how long it's been around, decades. We had a very large crowd. And as I said to some folks before the meeting, if you are a current pre-K, K, 1st, 2nd grader, you have no idea what this is because of COVID. And it was packed. I want to thank Superintendent Sell and Assistant Superintendent Madsen for coming to the event and spending actually quite a bit of time there and really being able to see what was going on. We brought back this Scholastic Book Fair, which we haven't had in a very long time. So thanks to Ms. Rodolfi for that. I also highlighted a couple of great things. Our STEM program under the guidance of Ms. Rodolfi has been really doing some great things. These cardboard toboggans down Toboggan Hill, had it been about 10 degrees cooler, these things would have been flying. But instead, you can probably, if you look really close, you can see a couple of kids are wearing shorts. It was a pretty nice day that day. And something that didn't make this because it just happened since I completed my report over the weekend. Our Destination Imagination games went to the States. One team took third place, one team took second place. That is an after-school club for our elementary kids. Wonderful group that and parent volunteers. Lots and lots of time and energy. And last night we had a music concert for the high school students. It was standing room only at the town hall. I wasn't able to make it, but I've seen some highlights of it. And we have two saxophone players, Angelo Priliano, who was on highlighted in the Rutland Herald, I believe it was last week, and someone who I think eventually will be Max Di Domenico is a baritone sax player who is routinely listed as one of the best in the state, and he's only an 8th grader.
Wow.
So congratulations to our music department, to our, to everybody. We've just had some really good, lots of positive press. So really proud of the work that we're doing in West Rutland. So
It's great. I mean, our schools have been in the Herald here the last couple of weeks, front page, at least 2 or 3 times a week. So it's nice to see. And,
Won a few ball games here and there.
yes, yeah, and actually the one thing I'm very proud of too is we have 2 students who are part of the Rutland IBOT team, which is countywide, and they're actually heading to nationals. I believe that's also in Atlanta. They just won a big tournament, New England tournament in Worcester Polytech over the weekend. So congratulations to Carmen Ducato and to Ryan Dido for their participation with the Rutland IBOTs team. So very, very cool.
great. And the Proctor principals who are playing hockey, actually, Liz has, it is our music concert at the elementary school, and Jen hasn't played this evening. So, all right, moving on to finance. Lewis isn't here, so we'll skip right over that, and we'll go to personnel for contract recommendations. And I had a request for the first section of contract recommendations to do those individually. So F24, new hires, rehires, and horizontal moves. A motion would be in order for Courtney Elliott, Proctor Elementary teacher, horizontal move from 61,706 to 53,806. 51? Oh, 51. Oh, what did I do? Move her down? Trying. All right.
Oh, so we're doing each one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, got it.
Is there a motion?
Okay, I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion by Kristen. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Hannah Corkum, Fulton High School teacher, horizontal move from 54,291 to 58,600.
I move.
Motion by Linda. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Jonathan Place, Proctor Elementary .8 music teacher. He is a rehire from the FY23 one-year contract with a change from .62 to .8, $58,600.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Linda. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Claudio Fort, Pulteney High School social studies teacher, $51,706.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Michelle Fountain, Proctor High School English teacher, $69,372.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Leanna Golfin, West Rutland teacher, $51,706.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mike. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Eric Maxim, West Rutland teacher, $43,088.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kristen. Discussion.
Yeah, I don't think that's a very good hire, but that's just me.
All those in favor?
Do we need to
Discuss it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we need to have a
Executive session?
discussion about that before we?
That's up to you guys. I mean,
Well, I mean, by discussing him means discussing him in an executive session, so. Would you like us to move that to executive session?
sure.
Okay. Ginger Bendig, West Rutland teacher, $79,282.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. All those in favor? Oh, any discussion? I'm moving right along. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Extracurricular, Lindsey Brown, West Rutland Summer Site Coordinator, Rachel Greenia, Proctor Elementary Summer Site Coordinator. A motion would be in order to approve them with their 3 different wages based on what they're doing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Kristen. Discussion.
So they're gonna track their hours, is that the plan?
I'm guessing.
By their, what they're actually doing.
Yep, so within the parameters that that we were given, by Lewis and with Chris's input, they get $50 an hour for planning. The academic, which is the morning part of the day, is at 40, and then we switch to the enrichment, which is after lunch, to 25. So yes, they'll have to do a timesheet.
That's fine.
Yes, we will make it work.
It'll be fun for the business office, I think. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resignations.
Don't we have another summer site?
No, we
Oh, we read hers.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Where's I'm sorry.
And we'll do these all together. Leah Anderson, West Rutland teacher, effective FY23. Rachel Greenia, Proctor Elementary teacher, effective end of FY23. Nancy Plant, Proctor High School library para, effective April 4th. Eric Ray, Fulton High School music teacher, effective end of FY23. And Leanna Weiss, West Rutland teacher, effective end of FY23. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
With regret. With serious regret.
All right,
but yes.
serious. He was teaching me the dulcimer. And I'm so
I just
awful.
really liked it.
And he was.
All right.
He did really well with my son. He was not-
Do we want to say, is there any discussion?
No.
I mean, would you like to say that you're going to seriously miss the music teacher at Fulton High School? That
I will say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He worked wonders with my son, so I will say I will greatly miss him.
He's
Okay.
amazing. I subbed for him. He's amazing.
All right, I was thinking that might be the consensus. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Is this where we talk what my thing about the interventionist, or is that going into executive session, or how is that going? I had sent you something about talking about.
Oh, that would be executive
Okay,
session.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, policies. These are all first read policies. F1, student conduct and discipline. F5, student alcohol and drugs. G5, selection of instructional materials. And H2, community use of school facilities. I will say at the SU, changes were made to some of the policies, so when they come back for a second round, they should, yeah. So, all right, future meeting date, May 11th. Future agenda items, if you can send them to Christine, Chris, or myself by May 1st, that would be great. And I guess we have a need for executive session for personnel. So a motion would be in order to go into executive session. We're going to say at 7:25.
So moved.
Motion by Linda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So Sarah, we'll send you a link, okay? All right, so if everyone wants to
Would you like me to stay?
Yes, I think that would probably be appropriate. Yeah. All right, so we're out of executive session at 7:42. And we'll be doing a roll call vote for the contract recommendation of Eric Maxim, West Rutland High School teacher. Is it high school? West Rutland teacher.
Yeah, it was actually elementary.
Elementary, $43,088. So, Kristen,
I will vote no.
Mike,
No.
Rebecca,
No, yeah.
Linda,
I like to go with the principal.
I'm gonna vote. Yes.
Catherine,
No.
Jessica,
No.
Tom.
No.
Sarah is not here. I only have to vote in the event of a tie. I do not have a tie. So by a vote of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. What? 2. Rebecca and Linda.
I don't know.
She was,
Oh, you voted no?
yeah. So by a count of 5 nays, 2 yays, a contract will not be offered to that individual. All right, is there any other business to come before the board? Mike makes a motion to adjourn at 7:49. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.